in radio...
We're going straight in.
Yeah.
Annabelle, I feel like I'm about to get absolutely grilled here.
No, actually, they're chill questions.
They're chill questions, okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay.
If you weren't in radio, what would you be doing?
I think I'd probably be trying to get into radio. I'd definitely be listening because I started off as a massive fan of radio and I still am.
Yeah.
So I reckon I might have done drama, so I might have been maybe a drama teacher or tried to be an actor.
Okay.
Or maybe done some comedy or something.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
definitely messing around.
'Cause you did drama at
yeah.
uni, so-
So messing around in front of an audience, definitely somehow. Whether that be a class of students or like a theatre or something or whatever. So yeah,
Oh, that sounds cool.
one of those jobs.
What advice would you give to someone wanting to be as successful as you?
That's a nice compliment, thank you. I guess I sort of had a loose plan for what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
As in, like, I really, really wanted to work in radio, and I just learned a lot about it. So I guess you have to learn a lot about the profession you want to get into, whether it might be medical professional or a sports person or someone on the radio or the TV or whatever. So I think you have to learn about the industry, and you have to be a real fan of it, and you have to be quite nerdy about it and know who's got those jobs and how those people got their jobs. And
Yeah, so to really love it.
yeah, so that would be my advice, would be just immerse yourself in it, and whether it's music or whatever, and like just really learn as much as possible about it, make your brain bigger, basically. And then and when you know about it, you know sort of how to do it, I guess. So radio is definitely one of those jobs where you learn by listening and watching other people do it. So that would be my top tip.
I've done a podcast
Oh.
before. What would you say is the difference between radio and podcast?
Well, the immediate obvious difference is it's not live,
Yeah.
and it's therefore not quite as reactive and spontaneous, but it's got huge benefits, as in you can create a club of listeners, and you can create a special little world where you have lots of private jokes, and you've got the listeners' full attention for the whole time. So when we do the breakfast show, I approach that differently to how I do a podcast, because you've got lots of people tuning in for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes and then tuning out again and then coming back later or whatever. So with a podcast, you've got much more of you've got a smaller audience, but you've got, I guess, a more dedicated audience that are more focused on what you're saying. So you can afford to be a bit more long form, and you can take your time over stuff a little bit more and maybe go into a bit more detail. Whereas with a breakfast show or live radio, you've got to be quite snappy and to the point, and all those things, because people have got to get into the shower and be like, right, I can't listen, I've got to go and make my breakfast, whatever. But podcasts are one of my favourite things in the world, because they are like pure radio, and you can really, that exactly that. No, you're right. That's the main difference. They're very intimate because they're in your brain, and you know those characters really well, and I think it's personal, and I think radio and podcasts work really well with each other.
How do you feel Radio 1 is evolving?
Well, I think it's evolving very well. And they put me on the breakfast show. It evolved well. I'm very happy with it. I think it's Radio 1 has, over the last few years, become much more socially aware of the world around us and the way that it's changing, and it talks much more openly about the issues that face not just young people but all people. So whether it's mental health and mental illness in general, or gender issues or race issues, slightly political things as well, I think it deals with it really well, and we're less afraid to be honest about those sorts of things and have those conversations with our listeners, and making sure it's really representative of the UK and the changing UK, and also kind of being a really joyful place to hang out away from what can be quite a heavy news agenda. So I'm really proud of the station. I think everyone's got an amazing role that they play. Each of the shows has their own little thing, but we're all kind of pulling together and have this same motto, I guess, which is let's just make sure people are entertained and learn some new things about music or film or funny stuff or whatever it might be. So we, I guess it's evolved into more of a companion through the sort of modern world of it can get a bit noisy and a bit mad, so it's nice to have a constant which you can rely on and be like, oh, let's see what Grimm's up to, or let's see what Scott Mills is doing. So it's supposed to be a safe place to hang out.